the best way to do it is well-promoted live gigs. It'll always be a live music before anything else. Of course, the internet and all that shit. There's a lot of societies, blues societies around, including the one that Howard runs, the Durham Region Music Society, that's very based on blues and roots music, and I think stuff like that does a lot to promote events and keep it going.
What we try to do is, when they originally talked about starting this, the Durham Region thing, they wanted to make it a blues and jazz society, and I said, well, let's get away from us like a music society. So we have, what you have to do is put on live shows where you have different genres of music to draw different crowds, so people that haven't seen blues before and say, I don't like the blues, they come because you have a country band on the venue. What's the word I'm looking for? On the roster.
On the bill.
How about roster? Bill's
good. The roster. Sure.
So people pigeonhole themselves. They got all these blues and jazz festivals, and people are sick of it. You won't see any young people there. It's all these older people. There's nothing wrong with it, but they're not drawing crowds. So what you have to do is draw crowds from other genres of music, like have somebody that they're attracted to, have a blues act on the bill, and then when they go away they say, oh, that blues man, that's great. I never listened to blues. At the same time, you'll have other people come to see the country act or the blues act and say, yeah, country band is good. So you broaden your horizons. If you pigeonhole yourself with one type of music for one kind of festival, you're cutting your demographic. Like, you can't draw people to a festival unless you have a variety of music.
The biggest example of that I saw was I went down to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. They had all kinds of music there, but blues was all through the city. There's blues bands everywhere. A lot of kids get turned on to it that way. That's a good way to go.
Yeah. I had a kid, for example, I played this place, the Rockcliffe Hotel, this is about maybe 6 years ago now. And at the Rockcliffe, they don't have urinals, they have a trough. And we're playing, it's all young kids, and they're not really clapping or anything. Anyway, I go into the washroom to have a leak, and there's lots of room. This kid comes up beside me and goes, hey, Grandpa, do you play any good music? I said, like what? He says, well, you do George Thorogood. I said, like what? He goes, well, move it on over. I said to him, well, that's not George Thorogood's song, it's a Hank Williams Jr. song. And he goes, who the hell's Hank Williams Jr.? Long story short, I still talk to him to this day because I turned him on to who Hank Williams Jr. was. And, the connection between, the thing is, a lot of the youth don't know where the music came from they're listening to. I think Thurgood maybe wrote one song and the rest of it's other people's songs.
For sure.
But a lot of kids that listen to it, that dig it, don't know where it came from.
But I mean, he'll do Hank Williams, and he'll turn around and do John Lee Hooker, and then do Elmore James, right? So he's turning on that. He's one of those guys that's kept it alive too, since he was only a kid when he started, but he's kept it alive. So.
Yeah, and these kids, they sort of, our friends think you're great, and they don't clap. And I said, well, you're not clapping. He says, we're too cool to clap.
So you know what we said? We said, clap or we'll kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did.
But it's like, I still talk to this kid now. And he on Facebook, he gets a hold of me. He says, well, who else do you know? What else can you tell me? And at the same time, he's turned me on to a bunch of bands. He says, well, you listen to? And he turns me on to these bands that I've never heard of that are great. Pocket Dwellers?
Yeah.
Those guys? He turned me on to them. It's rap, but I mean, it's not capping your ass stuff. It's intelligent, and I went to see this band because he told me about them. They were great live. It's like Sly and Family Stone meets rap. It's like they have the roots of music from the 60s and 70s. And there's lots of bands that do that. You can go and see a band of young kids, and they'll be doing stuff because they have that heart and soul. It's not something. It's almost inherent. Like, it's not something. I'll talk to them. I say, so and so. They sound just like them. They've never heard of them. It's just a spirit and a certain type of music. Gets certain people together that have a feeling for that kind of groove music, and they work it out.
So each generation up until now has had some dominant player. You could call them an innovator, you could call them the one who kind of rewrote the model of what the blues was for that generation. Mine, Stevie Ray Vaughan's, probably my parents was Clapton. esque, and then you get back to the Albert Lee's and all that.
Joe Bonamassa is the guy today.
Joe Bonamassa, is that the guy today, or is there somebody else stepping up?
It's not to my taste.
Coco Montoya is the guy for me today.
But Joe's got, Joe goes and plays Royal Albert Hall, right?
Yeah.
So he's big, and he gets to play with all his heroes and stuff like that. I'd say he's the biggest of that genre for sure.
But okay, so he's big, but is he doing the genre a favor? Is he out there making it accessible to the everyday young person, or is it if you've got the money to pay for it?
I think he's doing more good than harm for sure.
Yeah, he plays rock shows too. He's got a different. To me, there's other people. He's got like a big name. A lot of people. He's great at getting the tones of, like, most of what he plays to me has been done before. Do you know Coco Montoya?
I'm not familiar with him.
He's playing in Peterborough in November. I'll buy you a ticket.
He used to play with John Mayo.
Yeah. He kicks.
He's smoking it.
Yeah.
So on the topic of John Mayer, he's out there as a rock performer.
Not John Mayer. We're talking John Mayo.
Oh, Mayer, sorry.
Yeah.
John Mayo, Blues Breakers. Clapton used to play with him in the 60s.
Yeah.
Coco played with him
He
too.
broke most of the English blues into North America. He was one of the first innovators.
Is there anything left for today's players to draw out of the originals of 30s and 40s guys, or has all that been sucked out and now it's time for something new? Can a young musician today go back to that and find something to attach to and innovate and bring that to today?
Well, there's always room for something new if it's good. But, it's like new for the sake of being new. I mean, a lot of people draw, it's like I was talking about, some people have that spirit and that drive and that kind of feel that, like they say, I'll play stuff for people who have, and they've never heard of them before, but they sound like them. It's just, and there's lots of good young bands. It doesn't matter what genre you're in, but there's not a lot of blues artists that are getting recognized, and that's probably why a lot of young people aren't trying to do it if they're serious about music, because it's,
There's a handful of people that are out there, really driving it home. I would say, Tedeschi and Derek Trucks band, they do well.
Yeah.
Bonamassa does well. And there's probably a handful of others, and everybody else is, in clubs, taking it on the fucking chin for the sake of the art.
well,
That's just how it goes.
the thing is, most of the people that are going to blues shows, it's old guys that are still hanging in. And no offense against anybody, but I mean, you're getting an older crowd there, and they're dying off. And nobody's bringing their kids, or none of the older, like Mike McKenna's playing around again, and they're a great band. But trying to get kids up to see it,
I went and saw Government Mule recently, and they were fucking amazing. But I never seen so many great ponytails in the crowd. You know what I mean? It was all one kind of person there. They're not really cutting through, but they got a big enough audience where they can go out and play good gigs, and that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's marketing. You always got to follow the people that came out of that era. They always have a fan base. In the old days, the people that used to manage them would promote them, and now it's all, you got to do your own work. You got to try and get other people out. Nobody's doing that part of the thing, right? It's like, I'll tell you one thing. Johnny Winter? I remember this is my favorite interview. Johnny Winter comes into Toronto playing Massey Hall. This is years ago, but the guy says, "Hey, we got Johnny Winter in the studio. How you doing, Johnny?" He says, "Hey man, don't bullshit me. You just got me in here because you don't play my music." He says, "Well, what are you up to?" He says, "Well, we're trying to get on this MTV thing." He said, "But me and my brother are having a hard time." He says, "Everybody else is dressing up like freaks, putting makeup. Me and my brother, we are freaks." That was perfect.